Welcome, everybody, to a very special interview here on the Deep Cut on the Outlaw Nation. I am the Outlaw John Rocha, and I am so incredibly excited to welcome my guest for today's interview. I have been a fan of this man since the 80s, since he first popped on. Oh, actually, since the 70s. The first time I heard him doo-wopping on Rocky, and then Rocky 2, and then, of course, into Rocky 3 when he's wearing that great tux, and then into Staying Alive, and into so many things. He is such an incredible artist on his own as an actor and as a musician. He's earned 3 platinum albums, 10 gold albums, 5 gold singles. He's been nominated for a Golden Globe, nominated for a Grammy. Such an incredible actor and musician. I'm excited to welcome him to the show. And he is currently the star of his own documentary that's called Stallone, Frank, that is. It's from writer-director Derek Wayne Johnson. It'll be available on VOD and digital on Tuesday, January 19th. But ladies and gentlemen, please, without further ado, welcome to the Deep Cut, Frank Stallone. How are you, Mr. Stallone?
I'm good, John. Thank you very much.
Oh, it's
wonderful
good
to be here.
Yeah, ditto. I love what you got set up behind you. It's a great bookcase. You got movies, books, and then your guitar. Is that your treasured guitar?
Yeah, I got everything. That's just a quarter of the bookcase. I've got them all around. I mean, since I didn't get that much education, I figured I'd educate myself and just read myself crazy. Yeah.
I hear you. Well, let's start with the documentary. That's the main gist of why we're here having this interview. It's coming out here this year in a little bit, in a couple of weeks here. Tell me how this all came about. Who approached you with this? I know Derek Wayne had done some documentaries for the Rocky DVDs, the Rocky discs. So tell me how you got involved and how you became the subject of this documentary.
Well, I met him at a club called Pearls on Sunset Boulevard. I went with my friend. And I didn't know anything. He said, I just did a documentary on John Avildsen. And I interviewed your brother. And I said, oh, wow. And so we just started talking. He's like a major Rocky fan and Karate Kid, all that stuff like that. Right. So we just started talking. I was just, telling stories and things like that. And one thing led to another. I was just telling a lot of stories. And I think he was talking to a friend of his, and then one day he just called me up. He goes, Frank? I said, what's that? He goes, we'd like to do a documentary on you. I go, are you serious? Because I remember years ago I was going to do a reality show, which kind of went into the toilet, know. And I figured, all right. I just kind of said, all right, because, you get a lot of people in Hollywood say a lot of things that never happened.
Yeah.
And I said, okay. And I just kind of forgot about it. And then they said, okay, we're going to get ready to roll. We had a lunch. I said, are you really serious? They said, yeah. Then I didn't hear from them a while. And I said, okay, whatever. Then they got back to me and I said, okay, I will do this. I will give you every number and contact I have of friends of mine or people that I've known over many years in the business that I consider friends, And I said, you do with that what you want, because I don't want to be in the interviews. If we're going to do it, let's do it real. I mean, if they think I'm an idiot or whatever, just say it, If they think I'm talented, say it. So I said, the only thing I ask that's really important to me would be my past, my band from 1965, the reason I'm here.
Right.
John Oates, people that I worked with. I mean, because you can't have a future or a now without having a past, because the past is what gets you to the future, right?
Right.
So it just like all of a sudden I didn't just come out of a pod in 1983 and do Staying Alive.
Right.
There was many years. So they said, okay, we'll do it. And they started traveling and doing interviews. Said, oh, we just interviewed. And they were having a blast because they were fans of these people too.
Yeah.
course, I went to my brother. I said, "Oh boy, he probably won't do it." Yeah, I said, "He's not going to do it. I guarantee."
Yeah.
No, I'll do it. I said, "Are you serious?" "Oh, absolutely." I said, "Really? You'll do it?" Because he changes his mind every 10 minutes. So I
Of course.
just wanted to, I said, "Sure."
Yeah.
He said, "Yeah." So they interviewed him at the house. And I think personally, he's really funny in the documentary.
Oh yeah.
I think he's really good, and he's in it quite a bit. I mean, it's not like he's just in for a second. And then I'm in the gym, and I ask Arnold, who I've known for a long time.
Right.
Me and Sly are good friends. And I said, "Arnold, we have the same birthday. Come on." He goes, "I have no problem doing it. I do it." Yeah. And he goes, "Meet me at the gym." So they interviewed him at Gold's Gym, and you see him out front and stuff like that.
He's
And
still breathing heavy when he comes out front. He's still coming down from the pump, and he's still being interviewed.
The pump, yes, the pump. I was making the pump, and he was great, man. And he had seen me play a few times, and he really enjoyed the show. So
yeah, that
was important. I mean, it's like, most people that have done it have maybe seen me play, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And so from that, just one thing, John, one thing just led to another.
Yeah.
And so then I brought in, well, as you know, money was pretty tight on this thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I brought in my friend David Palomeni. He used to be my manager.
Right.
And they sent him the trailer. And we didn't have that much on it. The first people we interviewed was Bruce Buffer from UFC, and Boss Rutan. Those were the first two people. We said, "Man, we're doing good now, baby." Yeah.
Cooking with fire.
And then all of a sudden we got Sly soon after.
Yeah.
And then everything followed suit. And it wasn't so much that because Sly and Arnold, if they're in it, that's good. I think it gave some credibility to it.
Yeah.
In a sense. And then it just kind of took on its own life. Yeah. But only thing I was very adamant about was I just wanted to have people from 1965, my first band when I was a baby, but that molded the rest of everything.
I think that's the great thing about the documentary, Frank. If I can call you Frank, if that's all right with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you see, I mean, first of all, you and Sylvester's definitely ball busting brothers from the East Coast. Yeah, you can tell, like that's part of that's a great. You get a real great slice of that and feeling for that through the documentary. But like you said, you go back in the past to see your roots. I mean, you were a guy who knew his direction very early on between the two Stallone brothers, and you pursued that, sometimes even through your stepfather's trying to hide the guitar from you or make sure you don't play it. And it was great to see that, like, even from the beginning, people have been trying to stop you from doing this, and you have been pushing forward through it to find your success, to find your way through it, and to achieve what you've achieved so far in the world. It's a great lesson for a lot of people. It's too many people, they go, "Oh, he's the brother of someone famous." But this documentary is so great at showing at how hard you worked and how much you persevered to become a success in this business.
Well, my stepfather was an old school Italian guy.
Yeah.
And the thing of music was not really in the thing. So that episode in the documentary, when he takes my bass guitar, which I worked all summer for, that was really devastating. I mean, I don't know if it comes across, but it was devastating because, I had this, I was 16, 15 years old. I worked all summer for $100 and some.
Right.
And, and I was always told, well, if you buy it, you can have this. And then I was betrayed. And it was a horrible thing. And then once during that time, I was, I've always been a fan of other things. Mm-hmm. I must have had stacks of Teen Beat, 16 Magazine, Tiger Beat, you name it.
Yeah.
Beatle posters. I had stacks, stacks and stacks. Cream, all these magazines. And I didn't get good grades in school. I think I probably had ADD. I don't know. I came from a broken home at a young age. So I probably had all kinds of stuff going on. And I didn't get good grades. And I remember he took all my magazines, supposedly, and threw them away and incinerated. That's what I heard.
Wow.
And I
Wow.
was so mortified. I would have loved to have those magazines now. They were
Yeah.
great,
Yeah.
and the thing is, I had these Beatle posters. I had about 20 of them that I got in a store before the Beatles came out. It said, "Meet the Beatles, Ed Sullivan."
Right.
I was at a Beatles show. They're like $4,000 each.
Yeah.
Not that I was thinking about the money. It was just I liked them. I was devastated,
Yeah. Yeah.
And then my mother, I was in military school, and she threw away my uniform and my scrapbook that I had stuff from like when we were in the Battle of the Bands. And I'm
Right.
going, man. So maybe that's why, in some ways, I've become a little bit of a pack rat. I
Right.
still
But
have my rock and roll clothes from the 70s.
well,
I was figuring, well, if I ever had kids and they're anything like me,
yeah.
like, maybe they'll wear them. It'd be hip. Everything old becomes new again.
I also think your parents, in some indirect way, and maybe you've had this thought already, they seem to prepare you for what to expect going forward in the business, and especially in the music business.
I wouldn't recommend it, but
no, it's a terrible, it's a terrible way to
it's not like,
learn
hey,
the lesson.
kind of like the Von Trapp family, like in Sound of Music. No, it wasn't.
No. It sounds like it was tough, but sometimes in an indirect way, we never know how those lessons do come into play, even though they are terrible to live through, for sure.
Exactly.
Well, so you persevered. We see in the documentary. I'm not, I don't want to spoil too much. I want people to see it, but we do see in the documentary your beginnings and how much you endured, and this idea of like living on barely anything. People forget that you and Sylvester, you come from, you didn't come from a lot of wealth, and a lot of you guys had to both kind of build your path through this thing. And while he's off trying to be an actor, you're off trying to be a musician. And you're riding in these Econoline vans and doing whatever.
Yeah.
What made you keep pushing through everything, like failed gigs? Like what
I didn't know what else I would do. I had no other skills. I mean, it was like,
but being a laborer never occurred to you, like going to work in regular job is like, no, I can't do it. I've got to do this. Yeah.
Never. I mean, I barely got out of high school. I've actually had to go back I was supposed to graduate in 1968, but I was held back. And believe it or not, it's kind of embarrassing to say, in first grade, because my parents got divorced. And overnight, I was put from a public school to a Catholic school, and they were much more advanced.
Right.
So, I mean, that was kind of bizarre to fail the first grade. So that didn't really give me a great self-image.
Right.
First grade, there's not enough information to fail first grade, but I did. So, and then from there, I wasn't a bad kid. I never got in trouble and stuff. I wasn't truant, but I just wasn't. High school to me was more of a social event. I mean, I only liked two subjects. I liked basically history. I hated math because I figured as a musician, all I should know is how to multiply, add, subtract, and divide.
Right.
Algebra is not in the picture for a musician. I'm not going to go, hey, you owe me pi square equals an isosceles triangle. So I know from the first minute I was in algebra, I was doomed.
Right.
And so, but I loved history. I liked literature. I didn't like the parts of speech, but I liked stories. I like stories. And so I did get good grades. So they sent me to a special school my senior year, and I didn't even pass that, believe it or not.
Wow.
So I went back in 1973. I was living in Trenton, New Jersey at that time because I had a band, and I would go to school every day. I would travel from Trenton, New Jersey to Philadelphia every day in the summer to get my, I guess, high school equivalency.
Right.
Diploma.
How old were you at the time?
I was 23.
Wow. So you were like, I'm gonna do this no matter what it takes. I'm determined.
Yeah. That just came up. I mean, I swear to God, just when you asked me, how old was I? go, oh my God, 23 years old. It was almost like Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield. I mean, it was bizarre, but so I was 23 and I did it. I remember I didn't own a car.
Yeah.
So I was living in a place with a girl, but she wasn't like my girl. We just lived in the same place. And she had a car. She was such a kind, wonderful person. She was much older than me. And she let me take her car every day. So I'd leave at 7 in the morning from Trenton, New Jersey to Northeast Philadelphia. I forget that. Wow, I did that trek.
But once again, it's this determination. Once you set your mind to
Yeah.
something, you're going to do it no matter
I just
what.
didn't want to be like a dunce, you know what I mean?
Right.
But the thing is, and you know what's funny? That is the only girl I ever lived with in my life. Now, she was
Wow.
20 years older than me. Now I was
Oh.
23, she was 43, but she was beautiful. She used to be an American Airlines stewardess, and
Right.
we moved in together. It was like the goodbye girl, not as boyfriend, girlfriend.
Right.
All of a sudden, she was the aunt of my manager's girlfriend, and I was just coming into town,
Right.
and she was leaving her husband, and she had a boyfriend leaving her husband. We collided in this apartment, which was $80 a month.
Ooh.
So it's really a beautiful place. So, and then weird, we ended up kind of hooking up,
Right.
you know, and
Right.
and if it wasn't for her, because I mean, I had no money.
Yeah.
She was the one that said go to finish the high school.
Yeah.
I smashed my guitar, didn't have a guitar, so she had some money, so she bought me a guitar, which I still have
Wow.
to this day, which was $350, a lot of money in 1973.
Yeah. I
And
can
I
imagine.
still have that. I still have that guitar.
Wow.
And matter of fact, I lost contact with her a while. Unfortunately, she's in a living facility.
Oh.
She lost everything.
Oh.
So I stay in contact, but I lost contact with her, and
Yeah.
it's really strange. I mean, she was 90 years old.
Right.
So that would have been, you know what? I would have put her in the documentary, but that would have been, wouldn't that have been bizarre?
It'd have been
I mean,
Captain America going
Frank's
back to
ex-girlfriend, she's 90 years old. I mean, you know, people go, I said, yeah, but she wasn't 90 years old when I went.
Right.
It wasn't like last week. Yeah, my girl's 90.
Not there's anything wrong with it,
No,
it's-
nothing wrong.
the
No,
Melvin,
but
whatever.
she's a wonderful person, and I try to help her out. I send her stuff.
That's
This
great.
COVID thing has been a nightmare.
Oh yeah, it's been nuts for sure. Now that and then through the
Now,
document.
I just want to explain.
Yeah.
My nose is just itching. I don't do drugs. It's just for all you fans out there, I'm not like having a Coke moment. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm having an itchy nose moment.
Let's stop the rumors now. Stop the rumors
stop
now.
the rumors
Frank
now.
Stallone, clean as a whistle,
Need
please.
us to whistle.
He
baby.
trains boxing. He does no drugs.
That's it, baby.
Well, you get into things, and you were navigating your musical career, and then of course this moment happens with Rocky, right? Your brother is making this thing on a shoestring budget.
Yeah.
He's fought to make it, and he asks you to do some music. What was your relationship with him? Like, were there letters back and forth? Were there calls about like, hey, keep going, keep fighting, I believe in you, or anything? Or you guys just like dudes that didn't talk about their feelings at all?
Not really. I
Okay.
mean, I still have old postcards he sent me when he was out there. You know, the picture of him in a Corvette. Hey, come to California. Maybe one day you'll have one. I'm sure it wasn't even his. It's probably just sitting in it. You know what I mean? But that was sad for me because we lived next door to each other in New York.
Right.
And
carved out that hole. Yeah.
Adjoining apartments.
Yeah.
So
adjoining. Yeah, sure.
Adjoining. Yeah, right. And so I one day picked up and went to Trenton, New Jersey, because I'd known people in Trenton, New Jersey, and it wasn't like as bad as it is now. It was okay,
Right.
So I was there, and then I was living with the girl Vonnie, there, and my brother picked up everything and left for New York. My father bought him like an $80 Buick.
Right.
He stuffed his wife and whatever he could, and Butkus, the dog.
Yeah.
And drove. And I remember I went to his apartment. He left everything. So me being the pack rat, I took everything. So actually, the coat he's wearing in Rocky, I had, and I gave it back to him. So a picture of with the D, he left everything.
Right.
My grandfather's desk. So I took it all. So it was kind of the decor of my apartment in Trenton, New Jersey.
Right.
And I'll never forget. It was very strange. I was driving back to New Jersey on the turnpike.
Yeah.
And as I'm driving, I see him on the other side in the medium
What?
watching Butkus take a dump. I mean, and I went like this. I said, they're going to California. And it was really melancholy. It was really weird to see him with this giant dog. The dog weighed more than him.
Yeah.
In the middle of the thing while the dog's taking a poop and I'm driving by the freeway and their $80 cars pulled over. I said, God, he's gone. You know, it's weird.
Yeah.
So, and, you know, little did I know I would end up in California like almost 8 years later. So,
well, I love those songs, man, you came up with for the movies. I mean, they are like just they're important scenes in their movies. They're memorable scenes in the movies every time when you pop in and do your stuff. And was there a negotiation about you appearing in the movie? Did you say like, I'll do the song, but you got to put me in the movie? There's got to find a way.
No, he wanted me in the movie because what he was harking back to was, you know, kind of before the Beatles or around that time, before a cappella groups were big, Platters,
in the 50s, the Phillies.
So I was into the doo-wop thing, the Frankie Lyman thing. That's before, you know, like real bands came out. But so I was still singing at 13, 12, but I just hadn't turned professional until 15, which I was, first of all, was illegal anyway, but what can I tell you? So,
music business.
Yeah, right. So, and from that, so he said, yeah, I'd like to have something like a doo-wop song, like you used to do on Street Corner. I said, okay. So I wrote the song, I remember, and I just forgot about it because I figured about this movie's never going to happen, you know?
Right.
And then suddenly he appears in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
I go, how you doing? I said, what are you doing? He goes, in Philly, you got that song? I go, oh, yeah, I guess so. Because we were working on a deal with RCA Records around that point, you know?
Right.
And so he said, no one in the band wanted to do the movie. You know, because, everyone in the band was.
And this is Valentine, right? At the time, Valentine Part 2? Valentine 2?
They thought my brother was kind of a brute, like a bully, because we were like skinny, anemic rock guys. He was like working out.
Right.
And he'd always interject. And, you know, you guys should sing it like Joe Cocker. We were like into like, you know, different music. Right. So they go, yeah, man, I don't know about that. So I said, yeah, but he's there. He goes, but we're getting $140 playing. We were going to play the White Horse Academy, which was like a bowling alley with the band, but it was supposed to have a lot of hot chicks. So we're like 23 years old. So we're all about that.
Rock and
all
roll.
Italian guys in the group. Yeah. We're all about that stuff. So I said, so my manager goes, Sly, he goes, listen, man, they got a book gig for $140. He goes, what are you talking about? I thought they were going to do it. And I'm there. Oh, Christ, here we go. So he calls back and he said, so my manager goes, well, we'll give them 140. He goes, but they're getting 140. And they don't want to, he goes, no, 140 each. I go, 140 each. Now you have to understand, we used to play, you know, in those days, the music was 40 on, 20 off, 40 on, 20, 4 sets a night. So that's 160 minutes of music. Okay.
Yeah.
A night.
Damn.
So divide 100, well, if you divide 140 by 5, not much money, and then take 20%.
So algebra did come into it a little bit. Would you say algebra or math did come into it a little bit? Math
came into it, because so basically
not algebra, but math. Certainly,
we wouldn't have made like $20 each, not even.
Wow.
So we're $140 would be like 2 weeks worth of gigs for us.
Right.
So we're there. Okay. So we went down there. My manager, unbeknownst, you know, we were kind of, we didn't know anything about show business at that point. Signed away my rights to the song.
Oh,
I go, great. Now I think back, these guys sent their kids to Harvard on my publishing. Okay, so that's that. But that's what they did in those days. They took 100%. I said, this is the only business I ever heard of. Who takes 100% of anything? 20%, 30%. who takes 100%?
Yeah.
So they did. And so we did the song and I forgot about it.
Yeah.
Okay. We just, but then there's a picture of me. First time I came to visit him
Yeah.
in California would be late 75. So they had been filming it, but he was still unknown. I mean, he was just filming it. And I remember I came to California. It was like, oh, not like it is now. Trust me, pal. No, not even close. It was, where are you from?
I lived in LA for 20 years. I recently moved to San Diego.
Oh, so you're in San Diego?
Yeah, I am in San Diego. Yeah,
Good. I hope your mayor becomes the governor.
yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, no, but matter of fact, I was thinking to move to San Diego because I played the Italian Film Festival up there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
There's an Italian section there. Anyway, so we did the movie. At that point, we're pursuing, our own career. We're pursuing, I think we're close with an RCA Records or Epic, something at that point.
Yeah.
And I was in New York. I would take trips to New York. It was either to see a psychiatrist or dance lessons, one or the other.
Wow.
Probably, yeah, because I suffered from serious panic and anxiety.
Right.
So I was up there. And I remember walking by, which I know this is very foreign for people, newsstands where people actually read stuff, which they don't have anymore.
Yeah.
You had these big newsstands in New York with magazines, every magazine, chewing gum, cigarettes, they were all, but nobody reads anymore. So now everything's online, So I remember going by and I saw the Village Voice hanging there. In the front whole page is my brother.
Wow.
Saying either the next Brando, James Dean, excuse me? I mean, I did.
Right.
And I freaked. I still have that Village Voice.
Wow.
And I was like, wow. And so the movie came out with 2 screens. I mean, they thought so much of this movie, they put it out on 2 screens, LA and New York. Okay. Yeah. So they were hoping to maybe get their money back from drive-ins or stuff like this.
Yeah, no one knew this was going to be huge. Yeah,
no, of course not.
Boxing films didn't win. There weren't that many. I think Kirk Douglas was the last one to get nominated for a boxing film.
Yeah, but there's no one in the movie that's famous.
Yeah, exactly.
Burgess, and he's like the Penguin.
Yeah, he's at the tail end of his career, not in the middle.
Tail end of his career, right? Yeah. So all of a sudden, the movie, goes out for reviews and screenings and stuff like that. And the reviews are coming in, they're like phenomenal.
Right.
So talk about the little train that could. They're phenomenal interviews. I mean, the reviews. And all of a sudden, this thing takes on a life of its own.
Yeah.
Because he just turned 30, unknown, good-looking guy, good built.
Right.
Everyone in the movie's kind of unknown. I mean, no one knows Talia Shire's Francis Ford Coppola's sister at that point.
Right.
Burt Young had done a few movies at that point, like The Gambler or something like that. But everyone else is unknown.
Yeah.
The shoestring budget, it becomes a phenomenon.
Yeah.
And I never forget that picture in the movie of my brother, the last photo of us, anonymous. This is the first screening of Rocky. And we go there in the afternoon for the first screening, and we're wearing those stupid outfits you see.
Yeah.
Lapels, polyester.
Yeah.
That's all we got.
Those are all back now.
I know. Now it's back. Why did I save that suit? Anyway, so I'm sitting there. So we go in.
Yeah.
And we're sitting there. I'm sitting right next to him. We're sitting there. And no one knows who he is at this point.
Right.
All of a sudden, people are starting to walk out of the theater. This is the afternoon show before the big screening that night.
Yeah.
The opening, actually. And I saw his face going, just like drop. Wow. Oh, man, come on. The movie's unbelievable, man.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. And I'm looking at these people, I said, they're a bunch of jerk offs. Forget it. They don't know what the hell they're looking at, right?
Right.
Okay. Cut to 4 or 5 hours later, you could hear cheering almost across 3rd Avenue from inside the theater. And that
Wow.
was it. And that was it, man.
Mm.
The people of this country
Right.
just fell in love with this movie, fell in love with the character, fell in love with the story,
Yep.
fell in love with the whole idea of someone just wanting a chance
Yeah.
to be someone. And it just took my life of its own. Fast forward, 10 Academy Awards,
Yeah.
pretty unbelievable. The most ridiculous part of the whole thing is, how do you get Best Picture, Best Director, but no actors?
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
I mean, I was there next to him, and I said, God, I could not believe he didn't win. It's ridiculous. And
Yeah,
everyone in the audience was going like, really?
Yeah.
How great was Talia Shire?
Yeah. She was fantastic. Right. I know Burt got nominated, but Talia was incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, Burt and Burgess got
Burgess.
nominated.
Right. Exactly.
And
right.
Burt, both of them.
Right. Right.
I think Carl Weathers could have been nominated. I mean, you could have had 3 Best Supporting Actors, but they lost to people. I'm not putting someone down, but Beatrice Straight, who the hell? No one knows Beatrice Straight from Network. You beat out Talia Shire, which is an iconic role. Adrian's an iconic role.
Absolutely.
So, and I would listen, man. I've gotten in trouble for being vocal, even when Sly lost for Creed. I was not happy about it.
I was livid that he lost.
Everyone,
yeah,
everyone in that place, won the Golden Globe, won the Best Actress Award, every Critics' Choice. He's never won Critics' Choice, and he hadn't won a Golden Globe for almost 40 years.
Yep.
So even the guys he was up against were rooting for him.
Yeah.
You know, they all grew up with Rocky and Rambo.
Of course.
And when Mark Rylance won, it was like, I mean, everyone's face, not Sly, everyone's face was like, what?
I think the air left the room. You could tell.
The air left the room. So, of course.
Over the last 20 years, those have been the two moments. When Eddie didn't win for Dreamgirls, when Alan Arkin won, everyone was like, what? And when Mickey Rourke didn't win for The Wrestler, and Sean Penn did great with Milk, but he already had one. Mickey's coming back.
Yeah,
I think Wrestler's great. And I think when Sylvester didn't win for Creed, because that is a heartbreaking performance.
I think that's a great. I think it's actually that one and the first one are my two favorites.
Yeah, I think those are, I would argue that those two are the best.
They're the bookends.
In terms of like masterpiece filmmaking, those two are the best in the series. I love them all, but like those two are the best.
He got ripped off in Copland too. How about that?
God, he's great.
So I mean, he's gone through his. He's gone through things. Of course, I went public, and I was just pissed off because I really wanted him to win that. Yeah. And I was sitting there with my 95-year-old mother. We were having a party because everyone thought he was going to win. Even the people he was up against said, "Oh, he's going to win," and they were kind of happy about it.
Right.
And man, I was not happy. And did I get hammered? Ooh, boy. Oh well. I said, you know what? He's my brother. What do you expect me to say? Oh, I'm happy he lost.
It's family.
Yeah. So,
but you
it's like also in my movie, when I lost my Oscar nomination, so many curse word in the movie, my documentary, it's mine.
Yeah. I know.
Because, and not that I thought I was going to win, John. I didn't think I was going to win.
Right.
But to have been nominated would have been great. Two brothers, one nominated for acting, one nominated for music.
Right.
Okay. But he's been nominated 3 times. You know, I was just, to me, coming from a guy that was destitute at that point, broke, had no career, had nothing.
Right.
To have my song pulled and a song from Yentl put in that never even got on the charts was ridiculous.
I'm gonna tell you right now, there is what that year is Flashdance, I think. And,
Flashdance was good. I thought Maniac was going to win. Yeah, my man Michael Cimbella. So. And, you know, and what a feeling. I was up against some stiff competition.
You would.
But the other two were
there's no reason 2 songs from Yentl should have been nominated or Far From Over. People remember that one song, Papa, Can You Hear Me? But people don't remember the other one. Far From Over is,
Papa Can You Hear Me was like 91 with an anchor, you know?
Right.
But that's showbiz, man. And that's why you have to have a thick skin to stay in this business. I was really, you know, and I like Barbra Streisand.
Of course.
She's a great, great artist.
Not denigrating.
But that's not her greatest work. Far from it.
Well, I agree with that. I would agree with that.
And I think she's a great singer, one of the greats.
Yeah.
and a really great actress. So,
Yeah.
but I just, I'm Italian, man. I just get hot-headed. I get
Well,
PO'd sometimes
people
when
have
I
a hard
see it.
time with passion, man. People have a hard time with passion and people who support
Yeah,
things.
I
So
mean, when I see
I
like an
respect it.
injustice, man, it bugs me.
Yeah, I hear you.
I
I
mean,
hear you.
fair is fair. I don't mind. I don't care. I mean, I was in the boxing ring and I've had my butt beat. Fair is fair. If you get
Right.
beat, you get beat.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Right.
But those, come on, those are ridiculous. Even the most ardent fans that don't even like my brother's movie said, no, you should have won that one.
Right, right. Absolutely. You look at, and we should talk about this a little bit because it's brought up in the documentary. Staying Alive, that soundtrack, I didn't know. And listen, when I saw the movie, one of these people, and I enjoy that. Travolta's in the best shape of his career.
Oh,
I'm sure
unbelievable. Yeah.
Stallone got him in it. And then your song opens the movie. And then you have these other songs that are great duets with Cynthia Rhodes.
Yeah.
And it feels to me like this is what Frank Stallone, all those years sitting in those trucks, working for doing peanuts, working for fish to eat, like working for all, like he'd earned his moment. Yeah, he'd earned his moment to create music for a soundtrack to go as a companion to one of the biggest artists going at the time, the Bee Gees.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So like,
great. I'm a big
you
fan.
worked so hard. It seems like on these songs, and it shows, really, honestly.
Well, the funny thing was that, I mean, I found out, I forget how I found out that Sly was directing Staying Alive. But I didn't hear from him. Of course, I found out secondhand.
Right.
So I'm there. Oh my God, that's amazing. And of course, I'm a huge fan of the Bee Gees.
Of
Always
course.
was.
Right.
And I love Saturday Night Fever. I loved it. So I come pulling up to the lot, on Melrose, Paramount, and try to get in.
Yeah.
I said, I'm Sylvester Stallone's brother. Yeah, right, kid. I'm like, Rocky Marciano. So I said, all right. So I finally get in, right?
Yeah.
So, and I'm busted out, man. I mean, I don't have any money. I don't have any career. I've lost all my record deals. I'm like 32 years old. I'm going, oh man. Yeah. So I walk in. So I go in the office. It's huge. They're in pre-production. Everyone's trying to act busy, doing this. And my brother's got this huge office, like Louis B. Mayer or something like this, right?
Right.
So I walk in, they go, how are you doing? We start talking and stuff like that. I said, look, man, let me ask you something seriously. Is there a chance I can get like a song in here, like 15 seconds of source music as he's going to the restroom or something? It's like, wah, 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 anything.
Yeah.
Because I'm figuring, and I'm not that materialistic, but I'm broke. And I'm figuring, well, first album did 50.
Yeah, it was insane.
50, like 52 million records, 26 million double albums. I'm there. Oh man, if I just get like something in there,
Yeah.
So he goes, yeah, I don't think so. I said, okay. He goes, but then he tried to make me feel good. Yeah, well, just go write some stuff, see what happens. He was just kind of trying to get rid of me, basically,
Right.
So as I'm walking out, I take one of the scripts, which I shouldn't have done, but I did. And so we go, yeah, get together with your friends and write some stuff. I said, okay. So all right, I did that. And I took it seriously, man. And I read the script and I thought the script was really good.
Yeah.
And I just started, it was a stream of consciousness. I just started writing this stuff. And it really was kind of in my style, but I was I was writing stuff. And all of a sudden, and I was in the studio. I got to give Sly credit. So we found a studio in Silver Lake that was like $20 an hour.
Wow.
But there was something earthy and cool about it. I had a great band.
Yeah.
And, I pay them like $5, $10, but no one had money. So $10, what can I tell you?
Right.
So we did it. And we started doing songs. All of a sudden, now we got Never Gonna Give You Up, Moody Girl, Hope We Never Change, Finding Out the Hard Way. Then so all of a sudden I'm writing this stuff, and every few weeks or something like that, I'd pop in to my brother's office. Now it was getting to the point when I came in.
Yeah. Now
everyone is brown nosing my brother. Everyone's jockeying for a position, right? So when I walk in, it's like, oh, here he comes again. Rocky's brother. Okay. Well, they say, but I'm sitting there and I'm acting out the songs in the office, moving around. Yeah, when John comes through, of course, nothing happens. Rejection,
Right.
rejection, rejection. I'm there, man, because I felt they were some of the better songs I'd written. I said, man. So, but every time he came in, I kept getting these looks, like, you know, the rolling eyes, like, whatever, you know, that type of stuff, right? LA.
Yeah.
So I get a call from him, and it's like a call. Like, I can tell where the call's going to go by the intro.
Right.
If he's mad, it's hey, Frank. I go, oh, here we go. I did something wrong, right?
You know your brother by now. You know the tone. Yeah.
Yeah. It changes every 5 minutes. Hey, brother. I said, okay. Now he's in a good mood, but he probably wants something.
Right.
Probably like a pair of cowboy boots he gave me, but he wants them back. He's good at that. He goes, remember that painting I gave you 25 years ago? I go, yes. Yeah, I like that. I said, I thought you gave it to me. Yeah, well, you know, I'll trade you some. So, okay. So then he says, yeah, we got a problem. You know, Bee Gees, they kind of don't want to do. They didn't actually want to do the movie.
Yeah, that's weird. So it was I didn't know this about at all. In the documentary, it touches upon this because I just finished watching that great Bee Gees documentary on HBO, which is phenomenal. If you haven't watched it, but they don't touch on this at all. That they came back and that there was negotiations that they didn't want to do it, and then they contractually were obligated to do a few songs, and then they stepped away from the project. I had no idea.
Yeah, well, they didn't want to do it. Like, but the thing is, Robert
Stigma, I guess,
was their manager and also the producer of the movie, Robert Stigwood.
Right.
So they didn't. But anyway, something happened. I don't know. Maybe John didn't like the music, or something happened, and they left. You know. So my brother, I said, okay. He goes, yeah, we're having a problem. He's just going on and on. I go,
yeah.
So yeah. He goes, yeah, remember those songs you wrote? I go, of course I remember them. Yeah, no, I forgot them. I mean,
yeah, right.
You rejected every one. Yeah, of course I remember. I wrote like 11 of them, you know? So he goes, yeah, well, you know, listen, get a cassette and go have lunch with John. John's like, you know, in the dumps. I go, John's in the dumps?
Wow.
John's living in a $3 million rental house. He's
for those who are listening, this is John Travolta, by the way. John Travolta,
yeah. I'm in an apartment at the Oak Tree, okay? With, you know, I have to use like a common, you know, washing machine.
Right.
But John's depressed. Okay. So I go there. He goes, yeah, but don't tell him who it is. I go, all right, whatever. So we're sitting there. And they're talking back and forth, and I'm sitting there in the middle. It's like, it's kind of ridiculous. It's like Barbarino meets Rocky. You know, yeah, sweet guy. Yeah, listen, we got this. So it's like Welcome Back, Kotter. You know? So he goes, this is what I love about it. He goes, hey, listen, I found this music. I go, in other words, I discovered this music. I said, okay. I said, whatever. So he starts playing. So it's an
independent artist you've never heard of.
I have to find this music. Okay. So obviously he never played it for John before.
Right.
So he found this music, and so we start. So there was no. It was like a Sony C something, like boombox.
Yeah.
Like 1982 thing. Sounded good. So it's up there. I remember it's like, yeah, listen to this. Puts it in, and he starts playing my songs.
Yeah.
And John's listening, and I just, you know, he's got that great smile. Yeah. And he's like really getting excited. I almost like choked to death on what I'm eating because like I've dealt with rejection for so long. I don't know how to handle this.
Somebody liking your stuff.
Yeah, right, man. This is John Travolta. This is the sequel to Saturday Night Fever. And he is the guy. It's up to him.
Right, of course.
And he's loving the music. So I go, so here's the Godfather Al Pacino part. So at the end, he goes, "Is great, man. Who is that?" He goes, he points to me. He says, "Frankie." And John looks to me like how they looked at Fredo and Godfather 2. He goes, Frankie. I felt like saying, like John Cazale, I'm your big brother now. I can do things, you know? So
Yeah.
it was the Fredo moment there. And then all of a sudden that Monday, they put in Far From Over. They started doing the choreography for the opening of the movie.
Right.
Now I'm just freaked. I mean, I am emotional. I can't, it's like I belong. It's like, wow.
It was validation after all these years of struggling and fighting. Yeah.
And then every week or every 2 weeks, they'd add another song. And we like that instrumental, Dante's Inferno. I'm there, geez. And I'm like, I mean, you have to understand, I never saw $2,000 in my life. All of a sudden, I'm getting a check for like $3,500, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you have no money and then you're thinking your song's in the movie and you produced it, and you're like, people are like coming up to you and go, well, Frank, what do you think? Like asking me questions, you know? I mean, like, in other words, I feel like I'm someone, you know, for the first time. I mean, I always felt I was someone, but I mean, as far as credibility wise.
Yeah.
And it was unbelievable sitting in the studio with Cynthia Rhodes, like producing her for certain things. It was, I mean, people coming to ask me my opinion on this song and that. It was the first time anyone ever gave me a chance. I mean, I always had limited, you know, like with Rocky, you know, I had the song, they put it in. Rocky 2, just like how you recreate, we did Rocky 1. But I never got a chance to really spread my wings and produce and do this and that. So this was the first time. So it was one of the greatest rides, joys probably ever had in my life. And it wouldn't have happened without John Travolta and my brother.
Right.
I mean, my brother, I mean, listen, I would just want to clarify to the audience.
Please.
I don't care how famous your father, your brother, or anyone is. If they don't like the song, it ain't getting in. They're not that generous.
They're not going to risk their career.
Not at all.
No,
it's money.
Right.
I mean, these are money dudes, man, and they are not going to put a lousy song, especially in a movie like that. Okay.
Right. Which is why the Bee Gees thing, he was like, I don't think it's going to happen. And then when the Bee Gees dropped out, then the opportunity opened up for the possibility of it.
Then I heard they got mad at me because my stuff was in there. And that's why you see all my music on one side, theirs on the B side.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Whatever. I mean, you know, I so much respect for the Bee Gees.
Of course.
I mean, so it wasn't like, oh, well, here I am. No. Are you kidding?
Look, I'm a massive Bee Gees fan, but Far From Over is better than any of the tracks on theirs. But I mean, they've got great tracks. I mean, The Woman in You is great. Someone Belonging to Someone is great. Life Goes On is good for what it is in the movie.
Great,
but Far From Over is the standout track.
It's
and that speaks volumes. And you said, like, and you see it in the documentary, how at the time, Far From Over was like beating Michael Jackson, beating all these other people on the charts. So that is a moment that not a lot of people get to achieve. And so I've always fought against this thing with friends when we've had discussions about, you know, people who are like, who are famous brothers of people who are a little more famous. Like I've always defended, because I was like, Frank he achieved a number one. None of these other brothers or the other people talk about that. Speaks volumes, because that is not easy to do.
No, it's not easy.
And you took advantage of the opportunity that was offered to you in that moment, man.
And these people were just, it was a wonderful time.
Yeah.
And I thought it would happen and just never happened again. Listen, my managers were like my best friends and I love them. And you see the documentary, I didn't talk to them for almost 30 years.
Yeah.
Just had a falling out. But I was very close with them. I drove out with my manager in my Datsun in 1979. So, I mean, we were very close. But I just felt at some point, more could have happened for my career. There was a moment of that window of that opportunity. That I could have been writing sound. So I thought, I'd be writing soundtracks. I would have 20 soundtracks flashbacks.
You'd
I'd
be
be
the new
writing.
Kenny Loggins. You could have been the new Kenny Loggins. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd be writing with Kenny
Yeah,
Loggins.
right,
Okay?
exactly.
It didn't happen. So I lost that window of opportunity,
Right,
and I was never going to get back. Never going to get back. So I
right.
figured I tried big band albums. I tried everything. And it's just the stigma just
Yeah.
stuck and stuck and stuck. And that's why this documentary is so meaningful to me,
Mhm.
because these two guys, these young guys, had the insight to say, you know what? His story's pretty interesting, man. I
Yeah.
don't know how many guys would have maintained through this whole thing.
Yeah.
And it's a gift. I believe, and I wrote something on Instagram. Since I've been discussing this documentary
Yeah.
and every stuff, I kind of go back in my mind and remember things I just forgot, or maybe wanted to forget.
Yeah.
And it gets a little more emotional. And I believe it's a gift from God. I am blessed. I mean, there's guys, I'm 70 years old.
Mhm.
You know, I have a 28-year-old brain and body and a 70-year-old carcass, whatever. But I mean, and for a guy my age,
Yeah.
has had so many setbacks, and I'm not the most famous guy and all, to have a movie done about themselves. It's almost like that movie Looking for Sugar Man.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Remember
Yeah.
that guy?
That was a great documentary. Yeah.
Won the Academy Award.
Yes, it
was
did.
so great. This humble, kind guy that was really talented, that got
Yeah.
screwed over and was in obscurity for over 50 some years, was a carpenter.
Yeah.
And he had no idea that he was more famous than Elvis in
Right.
some parts of the country. That's a great documentary.
Mhm.
And so, but anything can happen. I mean,
Yeah.
we'll try to throw our hat in for Academy Award for a documentary.
No,
I
well,
told my brother yesterday, I said I would probably have a heart attack. If I won the Oscar and I had to go on stage,
yeah.
I'd probably give my speech and then drop dead. I said, oh, what a way to go.
You finally gave it to me.
It's like goes, can I have your Oscar? I said, sure you can. I mean, I'll will it to you when I drop dead. I'll do a prenup on it, you know.
I hope one day the Academy Awards drops this stigma against the Stallones. To be honest with you, I know it's there. It frustrates the living piss out of
It's
me.
like Philadelphia.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't give us any love. I go,
exactly.
dude, no one ever went to the museum. I lived across the street from the museum. I remember the first time ever I did mescaline at the museum.
Oh.
The only time I ever did drugs, I saw the fountain open up. It was like peyote or something like that.
Yeah.
Guy goes, hey, Indians do it. I go, well, good. I'm a fan of that. And of course, I was hallucinating. Who would think 7 years later it'd be the most famous steps in the world?
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Thanks to
my only drug experience was on the steps of the museum. At 4:30 in the morning with my friends in my band. We walked from 7 at night till 4 in the morning all through Philadelphia. Wow. It was the greatest. You know, that was one of the greatest nights ever, because we walked at night. We were harmless guys. We didn't get long hair, skinny. Right. We walked all through the city, every part of the city, from night until it became morning.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. It was like a thing. And I said, well, okay, I think that's enough of peyote for me, for that point. So
I do want to ask you a couple of things. I know we're running out of time, brother. You talk about these things in your documentary, and the show that I do here is the Deep Cut, and sometimes we get in deep on people's journeys and stuff. Yeah. And you talk about your panic attacks and the mental health stuff, and you went to say, can you talk a little, because some of our fans can relate to your story in that they are persevering and fighting to achieve what they want to achieve, fighting to achieve their dreams, but they might also have a connection to some of the mental health aspects that come along with that. What are the things that occurred to you when you were aware of them? Like, how was this whole journey for you through the many decades that you've dealt with it?
It was a summer of 1969. I was over some people's house and I walked home, and I was like in a nightmare. I didn't know what I guess it was a panic attack.
Yeah.
It's like I was never so frightened in my life. I was scared to death. I said, I felt like I was possessed, or like I was the devil, having all these horrible thoughts. Oh my God. sleep in my house, like covered up. It was the worst thing. So all of a sudden, I figured, I woke up. It was there. It was there for a few years.
Wow.
Every waking second I was there. Even though I looked normal, I was like, I felt a part of me was dying. And actually, I wanted to die. I actually said, I don't really care if I die right now.
Right.
I said, I'm going to just go out in the mountains with a Bowie knife and hunt my own food. And if I freeze to death, I don't care. It's better than this. So I was really going, it was horrible. I mean, it was, if anyone's had panic attacks or anxiety attacks,
I have.
It's not, you have. It's not so much the attack, it's the oncoming of the fear of having it.
Yep.
And I walked around, I said, how am I ever going to, I would drive in the car just crying by myself. I was a kid. I was 19, 20 years old.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what it was. I said, what did I do? Am I being punished? What did I do? Am I possessed by a devil? People go, oh, well, drink a warm glass of milk. No. Okay. That's, put some Vaseline, put some, Vicks Vapor Rub on your chest.
Yeah. I didn't eat something spicy. I'm having a panic attack. There's a difference. Yeah.
And I was ashamed of myself because I didn't know how to talk to anybody. Like, I was having these horrible thoughts of violence and this and everything scared me. And I was afraid to be alone with people. And it was horrible. So then I tried, someone said, well, try one of these. My mother was always on like stupid pills or something like this for anxiety in the 60s. Nothing helped.
Right.
Nothing helped. And then I was going through, the only thing that saved my life was music. When I was on stage and when I was rehearsing, I was fine. When I was by myself, which I was a lot, it was unbearable. It was I wouldn't wish it on anybody. So as I got older,
it's paralyzing, right?
Terrible, paralyzing. And the girl that I was living with, the older girl, she was so wonderful, probably because she was older.
Yes.
And
she'd been through the wars of her life. She understood.
She was positive and she was great. And I said, and I would sit there, I would actually lay down in a fetal position. It was that bad.
Yeah.
So once my manager had to call my brother had just done Rocky.
Wow.
And he made some money. He said, Frank's not doing good, man. This is bad. I'm worried about him. So I went to see, these self-help people. I knew something was wrong.
Right.
So I would do anything. I mean, I was doing yoga. I was doing anything just to get me through. So I went to the carrier. My brother said, oh God, he got all frightened because it was my brother,
Right, of course. He loves you. Yeah.
And he gave the money to my manager to send me to the carrier clinic, which was not a crazy place, but they were doing experiments with biofeedback, which was in its early stages.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And they put me on lithium.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And I took it. And all of a sudden I became normalized. I would go to this place and God rest his soul, Dale Patterson was the analyst. He wasn't that much older than me, but he was great. And he passed away. He was a great guy. And I'd sit there. I said, I just don't know what to do, man. I just don't know. I pray to God. I said, I don't know what to do. I feel like I'm going crazy. And I've never hurt anybody. I don't know why.
Right.
So we did this thing. So it was a bit of reprogramming. And I was on the lithium. I think between that and maybe maturing, it kind of subsided and kind of went away. He goes, you know what? If you can just look at it, if you can get outside yourself and look at it, it's going to go away. You're not going to do this. You're not going to jump off the bridge. You're not going to do it's the fear of it. And so I was on the lithium, and like me being an idiot, I didn't know you had to get your blood checked and everything on lithium. So I was taking it every day for years. And one day I just stopped. And the guy goes, you just stopped? How are you? He goes, I'm fine. He goes, no, you got to wean yourself off and take blood work and all that. I was a fucking idiot, right? So with that stuff, and then, they didn't, I wish they would have had Xanax back then, because that's what it's for.
Right.
So, and I don't really, a thing of Xanax will last me a year and a half. I just take it, might have a hangover, you're a little edgy the next day.
Right.
Take a half of a Xanax. But if people are out there, just understand it will hopefully go away. Don't try to suppress it.
Yeah.
Just get help. I mean, if you feel bad, there's so many outlets. If there was no outlets then,
Right.
I was ashamed of myself. I was ashamed to talk about it because I said,
Yeah.
"Oh, he's crazy, man. Let's get away from him."
Yeah.
So, which made it more compound. But from the grace of God and the help from my brother and my friends, I felt I've been feeling pretty good
That's
lately.
good.
I mean, and I've gone through some gnarly stuff,
I'm sure.
but there's faith in God, faith, belief, and just
Yeah.
ask for help. I've had a few friends of mine, my best friends. One took his life. I said, he hung himself. My best friend,
Wow.
and I never saw it coming.
Yeah.
Why didn't you just call me, man?
Right.
But
Right.
you know what? People are ashamed of
Mhm.
themselves, and they don't want to ask because it's not weakness, man,
No.
because you
Well,
can't take that stuff back.
no, it's true. I battled with it in 2016 really severely for about
It's
5 months,
oh
deepest of depressions, where it was every day the pondering how I was going to take my
yeah,
own life, and I
it's
had to do
horrible.
3 hours of meditation just to climb out of it every day. And
All right.
so the panic attack stuff. Is residue, occasional residue, but I didn't know what this was until it
Yeah,
started happening. And then when you do, and you're
yeah.
so right to give this advice, remember that you will get through it, whatever you need
We'll
to do
get
to
through it.
settle yourself and stay and just ride it out and try to kind of remove yourself a little bit, understand that it's happening, don't
Yeah.
resist it because that'll consume you even more,
And
and you
there's
just
millions
ride
of
it out.
people that
Yeah.
suffer from millions
Yeah.
of people that
Yeah.
suffer from.
Yeah.
So understand one thing: you're not alone.
Yeah.
And one of the great things is group therapy. I
Oh,
suggest it
wow.
to anybody because you know what? My stepfather, one of the maybe only poignant thing he ever said was, if you went to group therapy and everyone threw their problems in a pile, an hour later, you take back your own problems. If you think you're crazy,
Yeah.
listen to other people. I married my Dalmatian. I mean, so you think you're crazy.
Yeah.
It's other people, but you're not crazy.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just some people are a little oversensitive to it, but they're things. And, in 1960s, unfortunately, no one knew about it. They
Right.
didn't address it. And they didn't address post-traumatic stress disorder. And
Right.
remember, I got drafted in
Yeah.
1969 going through this. So
Right.
me going down to the draft board,
Mm.
going in induction to go serve. I mean, I wasn't a coward. I went to
Right.
military school, but I was like freaked out. I said, I just don't know if I'm
Right.
ready for this, man. I mean, to be dropped off in the rice paddy with
Oof.
what I was going through.
Yeah.
And so, but I mean, I did. I went through my induction. I was 1A. And maybe through the grace of God, because I had a lot of friends that came out really bad
Yeah.
out of Vietnam.
Yeah.
And I would have been one of those guys, but for the grace of God, I think God saved me for something else.
Mhm.
And I believe it was this, because I believe in the veterans. I believe in taking care of people like this.
Yeah.
So I guess I was saved for another thing, because there would maybe be no Stallone Frank. There is.
Yeah. I
If my
appreciate.
yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead, Sir Frank. Sorry.
If my grandfather Sylvester Stallone and my grandmother didn't come over on the boat, there would be no Rocky or Stallone Frank. That is, there would
Right.
be
No far from over, for God's sake.
pizza pie somewhere. I mean, so,
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing that I really appreciate the work you do and your brother does for the veterans. I served 8 years in the Army, and so for me, it's like there's connections to you and your
big
family
time.
throughout my life, man, and it's like it means so much. And
Yeah.
the Rambo movies, they speak to that. The first film, First Blood, speaks to that for sure, and it carries through. And
It's
there's
funny. People get real ethereal about Rambo. I said, listen, I've walked on the military base in Germany with my brother,
yeah,
and the soldiers were just surrounding him. Of course, they know it's a fantasy,
right,
but
right,
everyone
right.
like. So I mean, when you have the Sergeant Major of the Army, which, as you know, there's like one,
Yeah,
and he had hash marks coming up past his shoulder. I mean, this guy's been since World War II. He
right.
goes, God, I love Rambo. So this is a guy who's really been in.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
so you people out there, the sergeant major of the Army is pretty serious. My friend is a command sergeant major, which is one under,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is really a high non-com, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So, but the thing is, but everyone would like to be Rambo. Like everyone would like to be Tarzan. They know it's a fantasy.
Right.
They don't know guys who carry an M60 with bandoliers.
I think they want to be Rambo from Rambo 2 on, not Rambo 1, when you're dealing with the PTSD and the Agent Orange and all that. Yeah, that's the foundation for everything else. And
I hear you,
think,
John.
yes, that's true.
John, let me tell you something, man.
Yeah.
It's been great talking to you. The movie's going to be coming out on the 19th on Amazon Prime and Google and iTunes, and we're really looking forward to it. And you know, I'm just blessed and flabbergasted by the whole thing.
Yeah, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to be on the show for sure, Frank. This is, ladies and gentlemen, it's a fun ride through this man's life for sure, but it's also a poignant ride. So I think a lot of you are going to get more out of it than you think walking into this documentary. So I can't recommend it enough. Stallone, Frank, that is, it's coming out, as he said, January 19th. And go and rent this thing. You know, we're all desperate for new content. We're all desperate. We're sitting in our homes and we need new content. Why not take a trip down memory lane and see all the
John,
things
to all the people out there, if you need help and you're hurting, please ask for it.
There you go.
And you'll get it. Don't be too proud, because you know what? It's a beautiful world out there and there's a lot to see. And that dark cloud will just go away and it'll become a sunny day. John, thank you so much, brother.
Thank you so much, Frank. It's great to meet you, and I appreciate it. All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching this episode of The Deep Cut. Please remember to subscribe, like, and share this video as well, and we'll talk to you soon.